BYOD PD. This is the final project for the ECI 719 course, spring of 2015. It is an overview of the BYOD PD program developed for this course. My inspiration for this program came from the school where I work as a business teacher. Throughout the year, our technology committee had planned to deliver technology-based professional development for our staff. Those plans were canceled along with the teacher workdays and early release opportunities due to an unusual number of snow days. Those days were to be used for instruction and sharing of tools for use in our newly engaged BYOD paradigm. This paradigm shift includes the shift from traditional sage-on-the-stage methodology of instruction to a student-centered approach to learning. A report on the need for professional development stated that, in light of the increasing demand for the rapid expansion of distance education, there is a parallel need for qualified online instructors who are prepared to teach from a distance. Taking this thought further, when working in a BYOD environment, educators need to have an understanding of how blending that newly created online atmosphere translates within a daily access to technology resources that have been, up until this time, unreachable. Technology has become the pen and paper of our latest generation of learners, and the need to educate the educators is at an all-time high. Programs whose content focus mainly on teachers' behaviors demonstrated smaller influences on student learning than did programs whose content focused on teachers' knowledge of the subject, on the curriculum, or on how students learn the subject. Student-centered instruction represents a shift from the traditional classroom and how students learn today. Having professional development that enhanced instructional knowledge of web tools for learning and responding to the how of the learning process is through the incorporation of student-centered learning. Specifically, this program is designed to assess the classroom teacher to become more familiar with web tool resources that have the potential to enhance learning opportunities in a bring-your-own-device environment. This type of professional development would also be appropriate for any educators, including administration, career development instructors, instructional resource persons, or others that can become more engaged in the direction of BYOD events related to a student's academic progress. This program is designed for technology-rich environments such as BYOD initiative schools that are looking for professional development options to help them explore technology opportunities and paradigms in education at their own pace. The instructional design for this program is based on Gagne's instructional model. It begins with video examples of individual tools within the module that incorporate student-centered learning. Videos will be followed up with written explanations regarding the abilities required to execute a particular type of tool. Discussion boards will be set up with prompts focused on analysis of learning outcomes related to a particular tool. Each module will contain specific instruction, whether video screen demonstration or written example through the use of still screenshots and associated explanations. Fifth, given a set of directives which describes types of student-centered instruction with optional uses of a chosen tool, participants will develop a lesson plan or instructional opportunity where they can foresee a use of a particular tool. Educators will create a product to be used as a starting point for injection of the tool into a learning objective in their classroom. 7. Participants will be submitting work for a particular design or tool product. Then the facilitator will respond with feedback before they move on to the next level of the module. Once a product is completed within a module, it will be loaded into a lesson bank for access by other educators within their school. And lastly, the final event in each module will be to modify an existing lesson from the school's bank. This modification can be an adaptation from another subject area or an enhancement to a current subject's product. Due to the platform of delivery being online and the independent nature of the course design, it would be viewed as employing a constructivist style of instruction. Within Gagne's constructivist type model, the learner has greater control over the learning process, which contributes to the online learning platform being appropriate for delivery of instruction. Vygotsky would see the connections between a common goal and a basic shared experience of educators as a solid jumping-off point to develop the environment for learning needed as a part of this professional development program dedicated to BYOD environments. Gagne's conditions of learning theory considered that Human learning has the mainstay activity for processing information, and that this program involves simultaneous operations of three different components: the learner, the stimulus, and the response. Management of the cognitive load will include a weekly online office hour with the program leader, so as to lighten anxiety or frustration related to assignments or difficulty with the operation of the tools themselves. Upfront orientation and constant access to resources such as technology committee members, program sponsors, and fellow educators that are participating will also contribute to the lightening of the cognitive load. The program itself is hosted on a Weebly website. The nature of the program is such that the modules contain individual topics which relate to specific web tools. Education in technology-rich environments makes certain assumptions, being that educators will have access to the technology they would be learning about. They will have the ability to work the mindset to be learners in an online environment. Also, that educators are open to new ideas and concepts of instruction. Those topics that have modules for learning for use in and out of the classroom are Toondoo, Pictochart, VoiceThread, Coggle, Google Hangout, Prezi, Bubblus, Dico, Evernote, Quizlet, Kahoot, and Socrative. The question that needs to be asked before learning begins is, are educators ready for this type of learning environment? The Dre article from Session 8 talked about revising the way we assess readiness for the distance education environment and making sure that we dig deeper with regard to what we measure, that it goes beyond basic technology skills and equipment ownership inquiry. With this in mind, I would create a survey that approached the evaluation from 2 points: the technological ability and access of the user and the technological comfort of the user. The survey I would create would include such questions as, have you ever participated in an online opportunity? Do you have access to the internet and production tools such as Google Drive or Microsoft Office? How best do you learn online? Do you like to have step-by-step written directions, video, or live communication to capture learning? Do you consider yourself strong at setting goals and scheduling your time? Do you consider yourself a problem solver, creating alternative methods to solving issues? To establish the positive environment for online learning, the teachers using the BYOD PD program will receive a video orientation, which will provide information needed regarding how the overall program works, the various types of assignments, program expectations, and any required technologies. While the online design is a positive step in establishing a successful base, we also need to ask about other ways we can help educators prepare for the online professional development experience. 3 general areas of importance are, as with any learning, the participants need to be made aware of the formats for accessing and submitting information required by the program. There's a need for tutorials that are designed for teachers for learning various technological tools which can be acquired and those communication tools which will be used during the course, including open forum options. An agenda or syllabus will be prepared so that expectations for the course are clearly defined and the timetable for work due is set before beginning. As this is open learning, they will not have specific dates for submission, but end date requirements to earn their CEUs for educational credit. Further support will be present whereby we will establish points of contact from participants that can be directed to the instructor, not to mention the established practice of accessing course resources, setting up online office hours for course participants so they know they can reach you at a specific time. We will establish open lines of communication amongst peers that can assist in the easing of anxieties about learning tools, assignments, or the direction that a student is taking in their learning. Lastly, giving contact information for technological support provided by the school and the tools used in the program. PassNote will be our back channel tool for communication. This message tool was created based on research done at Purdue University. Findings were that shorter messages are more effective in garnering student response. By establishing this tool as a form of communication and sharing of resources, along with the research related to how the messages are constructed, it will improve feedback. Purdue's research also brought to light that using a first-person plural helps students feel that the instructor cares about their learning. Success directly relates to the feedback from a course, instructors, and peers within that course, whether it's the feedback from submitted assignments or the use of communications between participants. They need to understand the guidelines for successful collaboration. They also need to understand the responsibilities for their own learning. The framework for the course needs to include an orientation and training and tools for successful completion before directed learning happens. Ongoing evaluation of the effectiveness of the instruction relates to not only the testing of participant learning, but the program outcomes themselves. Participants must feel comfortable with the format of the course to attend and participate with ease. Possessing the information needed to be successful and the consistency in instruction to garner repetitive ease in the use of the program's tools. Types of support materials that will further garner success in the course will be things such as video and written tutorials for each module, access to the school's technology committee, a bank of lesson examples and resources preview, and feedback from program sponsors that will increase the value and direction of the work being generated by the participants. Community can support success in an online learning environment through a self-regulated learning framework that uses personal information management, such as blogs, are going to be used to encourage online conversation. Social interaction and collaboration, encouraging sharing through the development of a lesson bank, creates a community goal. Information aggregation and management creates reflection of learning through various web tools learned and found throughout the module, which can increase success through feedback and peer synergism of the team PLT opportunities. Assessments are an essential part of the learning process. Included will be a variety of assessment options to gauge learning. These evaluation tools for understanding are only part of this process. There will also be periodic assessment of the course itself through surveys and informal participant response. The desired learning outcomes are a driving force behind the generation of lessons and projects. We hope to achieve the executable knowledge of web tools for creating end products for collaborative purposes, online organization, and for the query process. The ability to use various web tools for the purpose of communication. The ability to use web tools effectively in a BYOD environment so as to promote collaborative efforts in educational settings. Lessons incorporate a paradigm shift from traditional teacher-focused delivery of information to a student-centered approach for learning. Knowledge of effective use of web tools to support student-centered instruction. Collaborative skills that are enhanced related to the development of BYOD-based lessons, and the ability to implement lessons related to BYOD-based web tool skills. The assessment plan ties together the goals of the program to those desired results from completion of the modules. This is accomplished through the assessment instruments that are being utilized, or platforms of assessment, which are as follows: the design and creation of lesson plans that are related to each of the learning outcomes, asynchronous discussion boards, synchronous conferencing and/or meetings, developmental portfolios, and problem-based cases such as activities related to specific tools. An important and very relevant issue related to online learning programs are copyrights in those environments. The Technology Education and Copyright Harmonization Act, commonly known as the TEACH Act, was enacted by Congress in 2002 to permit limited uses of copyrighted materials in distance education or any other transmission of a copyrighted content to student. The TEACH Act's primary objective is to balance the protection of copyrighted works against the desire to use these materials for instruction in distance education. The BYOD PD program will take this act into consideration when sharing all materials, paying strict attention to proper credit being given to the rights of material creators. Works explicitly allowed under the terms of the TEACH Act are performances of non-dramatic literary works and musical works, performances of any other work, including dramatic works and audiovisual works, but only in reasonable and limited portions, and displays of any work in an amount comparable to that which is typically displayed in the course of a live classroom session. The American Association of University Professors believes it is appropriate to issue the warning, "Your intellectual property is in danger." Many campus copyright policies remain solid despite the online course revolution. This evolution sees institutions struggling with traditional rights to the instructional materials their faculty members and authors create. An agreement as to the potential sharing of materials generated from individual modules within the program will be electronically signed by educators participating in the BYOD PD program before the start of the learning to assure they are aware that by participating they are acknowledging the open sharing of their materials with other educators. Much of the success of this program will stem from the program leader's ability to maintain the structure and standards that have been set forth within the program. While flexibility can be an asset, sticking to the plan will be crucial to execute the ultimate goal of the program, which is to design lessons that perpetuate student-centered learning, utilizing the assets of a BYOD environment. Evolution of lesson banks and feedback from users of these banks will also increase the quality of instructional materials. The last yet crucial component is the exit survey, which will be performed at the end of each module. Participant feedback with regard to their online experience will help evolve this program into an even greater learning experience. Questions that probe into a participant's experience as to outcomes and processes within modules will aid in this endeavor. Thanks for listening. Thanks to all the generators of wonderful resources, and I hope you try out the BYOD PD program of professional development.